This is an RNZ podcast.
So I'm coming up, I don't know what elevation I've come to yet. I've got about a 600 metre elevation to do up over the saddle and then into the Harbour River, get to Hamilton Hut, and I see two hunters. And so you're a professional hunting guide?
I actually own NewZealandHunting.com, so it's a family business and we're in the second generation. So I took over about 3 years ago.
Sorry, I forgot, Nate and...
Danny.
Danny, sorry, yeah. So Danny, you look like you're just out of bloody high school. What's going on? You own a professional hunting guiding business.
I guess I grew up in this industry. I was really lucky to have parents and family that hunting was just part of our life, and so it's just been a natural progression for me, I guess. So, yeah, but may look 15, but I'm 29. so, yeah.
And how often are you out here hunting, Nate?
I try and get out as much as possible, a couple of times a month. If I had my way, I'd be out every weekend. But
so are you the same? Did you start as a kid?
Yeah, well, I sort of started when I was about 15, 16, just shooting rabbits and stuff. I had good mates that were hunting and their families were hunting, so I just started going out and got a bug for it, so kept on doing it, and it's just gotten worse.
So with this, like with the hunting, do you study up the bush skills or anything, or do you learn them by acquiring them?
I think most of it's just handed down and it's personal experience. So you go out and you learn stuff off other people, mates or different hunters that come in. I'm really lucky because my family taught me a lot, but also different friends, and I've learned heaps off Nate as well. And so, yeah, there's always something to learn, I think, definitely.
So there'll be some people going, oh no, poor deer, etc. But what's your favourite animal to hunt?
To hunt for me, I love hunting bull tahr. I like the alpine hunting. I like being up in those mountain tops. That's me and my element, but the best eating for me is the fallow deer.
Right.
Yeah, I like the meat off those.
What
Can't
about
beat
you?
it.
I'd have to say the same. I started tahr hunting maybe 10 years ago, and you always just find every excuse to go out for them. You go out hunting deer in the raw in the spring for a feed and a trophy, but the bull tahr, you just can't go past them. They're amazing animals to watch. They're just, the country that you get into, just incredible. So it's addictive.
What's the most dangerous situation you've ever found yourself in, Danny?
I guess probably it was only last year I went out on a chamois hunt, and we flew in by helicopter, and it was kind of snow on top of snow, so you had that little bit of avalanche going on in the background, and I took a bit of a slip, but just got myself in that brace position. So that's probably the most I've scared the bejesus out of myself, I'd say. And if I hadn't been able to brace myself, I had a pretty heavy pack of meat coming out. She could have been all over. So dangerous country we live in.
Yeah, I had one in the Tararuas. I took a tumble off a little rock face and was just ever appreciative that I came out of that alive. I am now at Lake Coleridge Lodge. I had never suspected ever up until about half an hour ago, or a couple of hours ago, that I might be at Lake Coleridge Lodge this evening. And it's very cool, having a beer, sitting in front of the fire, talking with Roger, Margie, Sarah, Alec, and Paul and Rosemary. And I was just chatting again with Roger, and he was talking about how he started his affair with tramping when he was 14 in Milford Sound, Milford Track, and then started talking about some glacial shit. So run us down that stuff again.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well look, we walked it as a family, and just after I'd finished the fourth form, and in the fourth form geography I remember we'd done things like the glacial valleys and how they were formed, the U-shaped valleys and then the cirques.
Because that's the difference between a sound and a...
That's right.
Isn't it?
That's right.
To do with the shape of the valley.
Yes. The water-formed valleys are V-shaped and the glacial valleys are U-shaped. And and I could not believe it. And the Sutherland Falls, which just descend, for I think a couple of thousand feet, and I just gave me a love for the outdoors, and it was like being in a live geography lesson. And I actually went on. I actually gave me a love for tramping, and I actually went on. My first degree was in geography at Victoria University. It was all sort of stemmed from that, I think. Yeah.
Far out. So back to what year is that? Because your parents...
1966.
1966. Your folks hauled you out to Milford.
Yep.
Milford Track.
Yep. And I think Dad had walked it before he fought. He went away and he spent 5 years fighting in the war. He was in the Air Force, and he went and trained in Canada, and then he served as a navigator and in the bombers. And before he went overseas, he went with a friend, and that they walked the Milford Track way back prior to going in the Second World War. Whoa. And the Milford tunnel, the Homer Tunnel, was being just built at that stage.
It was finished in 53, I think.
We think we're doing it tough these days when we just walk the 53 k's or whatever it is one way. Yeah. And then catch a bus back to Te Anau. In those days, they had to walk from, walk one way and then walk back. Yeah. And as well as that, they walked up to the Homer Tunnel and had a look at it, and then included that as well. So, absolutely extraordinary.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, well, very cool. It's really nice getting a little bit of the backstory of people I've been walking with. Standing here with a bloke called Paul Claridge, who I went through phys ed school. How many years ago, mate?
43, Bruce.
43 years ago. So when I said I'm going to hit the trail and do this gig, I get a message from this bloke saying, I'm down here, down by Lake Coleridge, not far from there. So when you come through there, we could maybe try and catch up. And it just so happens to be where Lynda Topp lives as well, Lynda and Donna. And so there's been this, we're having a session, aren't we?
We are indeed. But unbelievable. And actually the long way home, there you go, that's another thing it's done. It's stimulated or brought us together, really, because we haven't seen each other for so long. We all went different ways and just kind of disappeared. And these are great touch points, actually.
It is, it's so cool. And what's any advice, seeing as you're in that role, you're an advisor, you're a mentor and everything like that, what's your kind of overarching advice to people out there at the moment, the way we're living our lives?
Well, I think the first one is use it or lose it. The second is, and it comes back to the stuff that you're doing, is we are so lucky to live in this gorgeous country. Make the most of it, I think. I really picked that up from you. And the other thing is that people are fundamentally good. The stories that you tell about all of the people that you meet, people want to help people, and we get this diet of a kind of negative diet about people. But your stories that we all enjoy listening to every week tell us a different story, and I really enjoy it.
It's such a buzz finally being here, because I've known you're down here, Jules is up in Auckland way, and like it's because how far back do we go now? Lims was
long time, buddy.
Lims was you, because you were like our technical, not the technical director, you were the stage manager.
I was a stage manager, and I helped do all the production with Fee Fanshell was lighting designer and all that, stage and production manager. But we go back a long way.
And then we helped found the Watershed.
Yes.
And you are just like this icon, I know, because for me it was in relation, I just knew you as you. But my mum and dad, and my dad, he's a hard-ass commercial fisherman and stuff. And they just love the Topp twins, anything to do with the Topp twins. Like you guys are like one of these, it's a adhesive that brought people and
like
still bring
tape.
people.
You don't want to say sticky tape around the cricket boys about the cricket. I think it's really nice that that we get to play in New Zealand, and we do get old cray fishermen and old fishermen, and we get farmers, and we get people from the metropolis, and we get kids
spectrum,
and grandmas and granddads and everything. And it's beautiful, because the great thing is that we were born in New Zealand. And anywhere else in the world, Jules and I probably would have been bloody, either stoned to death, or told, that's not going to work. That's never going to work. We can't have a couple of lesbians out there singing to all these bloody young kids and everything. But in New Zealand, we're such a tolerant race of people, and we're bright and we're knowledgeable. We know about the world and we know about worldly things. And people just say, yeah, good on you. Have a go. Have a go. If you're honest and you're keen and you're hardworking, and you look like you've got a bit of talent, they'll go, yeah, we'll give you a go.
Now, there's a deer head
Yes.
up on the wall in your house. That's a magnificent beast.
Yes, it is.
So,
I think, there's a whole sort of, thing about, hunting and fishing in New Zealand. There's a lot of hunting and fishing goes on. And I've always been, drawn to the outdoors. And I'm a twin, right?
Yeah.
I've got a twin sister. And I think what happens is that you get born with a gene, whether you're going to be a hunting or fishing person, and then there are people who aren't born with that gene. Now, it's kind of weird to me, it seems, that because we're twins, we're identical twins, but Jules didn't get that gene. She doesn't like going fishing or hunting. But I love, my big love is fly fishing, basically, fly fishing. And I've been fly fishing now for, nearly probably 15 years. And the South Island has got the best fly fishing in the world. That's why I'm here in South Island, and it's got good people. I haven't done a lot of hunting in my time, but my stepson, who's about, he's 22 now, I took him out, possum shooting when he was a kid. To me, it's not about the hunting. It's about taking kids out into the wild, into the bush, or having fun with them on the weekend, and stuff like that. So, but we went out, and he's, he was probably about 12 when we started doing that. And then he's now 22, and I'm getting older. And he said to me last year, he said, Lynda, I want to take you out hunting, because you took me hunting when I was little. And there was a beautiful stag up at Cold Creek, and he had lost his harem. He'd been pushed off his harem by a bigger and bolder stag. And so what happened was that stag would have been culled. He would have been, he would have been surplus to their requirements of putting genetics into a good herd. And so I said to Cam, let's honour him and do a trophy hunt on him. And it was a real beautiful bonding moment, because he's my stepson, but really after that he's my son. A lot of hunters in New Zealand, that's what they're all about, is honouring the animals, and also, being aware of your environment. Every river you cross, you want it to be pristine. So, we've got to look after this country. Absolutely. And I think, the hunters and the fishing people, that's their number one rule. We've got two sides to New Zealand. There's the east coast and the west coast, and in between we've got amazing forests and open country and foothills and beaches and everything like that. But the number one rule right now is you got to look after it. Jules and I have done a lot of protesting in our time. There was the Springboks tour, the anti-nuclear, the homosexual law reform bill. But right now it's like, hey, New Zealand is the most important thing in our lives, and it's got to be looked after. And I think, that classic thing of preparing, a meal that you've actually, gone out and got.
Yeah.
You've got the meat and you've grown the veggies and everything like that. That's the most beautiful thing in the world that we can do in New Zealand, is say we have really good wild tucker here.
You can still do it. You can still do it.
Like our Top Country program, it was just amazing meeting those people. They were so passionate and all that kind of stuff, and they just wanted the best of food, and that's all we want, we want the best of.
Well, let's go do some chores.
Yeah, we're going to go out and we're going to move some cattle. We've got a big mob out there of eight steers and Herefords, nice big Herefords, and then and the horses are waiting, and the dog is getting keen for its big run.
Come on, what are we doing?
He's got a hedgehog. Do you want him to keep it or not?
Oh, is that a real hedgehog?
It's a real hedgehog.
Oh, it's a live hedgehog.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay, we're going to let that hedgehog go.
You can live again.
He's rolled up into a little ball.
He's rolled right up.
He's rolled right up, and he's
incredibly defensive, because he's had a good go at it.
Oh, I thought it must have been a toy one, the way he was running around with it,
to start with.
Well,
Look at that. Nicely rolled up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Imagine being able to coil yourself up like that.
Yeah. We'll leave him there.
All right, we'll get on with the chores.
Go.